Hello, beautiful beings, and welcome back to Inspired Awakening. As you can already tell, this is going to be different than any other Inspired Awakening I have done. And that is because recently I found missing messages. So if you've been following this channel for a while and following Inspired Awakening for a while, you may know that last year I did an Inspired Awakening talking about my incident with the jellyfish and the mermaid messages that got lost. Turns out in these videos we're going to be reacting to, I was doing this, what's called a clairaudient check-in, with the intention of doing a guided meditation channeled from the mermaid frequency. Basically, mermaid is just a fancy name for the guides of balancing. So I didn't get to do that because of events that transpired. So I'm gonna be reacting to it and kind of further expanding on the messages that are in these two videos. Now, the second one, the very last one, the one of two, it cuts off. And I'm going to see if I can really tap into the energy that this was in July, I believe probably July 17th or 18th of 2023 when I was doing this. So if I can tap into that energy and see what messages were trying to come through, because it does cut off. I thought I found the full video. I know that I had recorded or been in the water for about 23 minutes, and I only have about 8 minutes of footage. So that that means we lost a lot. Now, I know that a lot of what I had recorded was like little bits of in the water, and I know I tried doing that even in the spoken videos because I was planning on using that footage for doing a guided meditation. Now I was using a GoPro, so quality not the best. I was in the water. During the time of me doing this clairaudient check-in, I felt what felt like a plastic bag against my leg, a hairy plastic bag. So I took, and I think it was like, if I can, let's blow it up anyway. So let's see. I was like in this area here. I was in this area here, and I got very grossed out because I felt this like plastic bag thing, and I went to brush it away. Turns out it was a jellyfish. And I knew that, especially when I was like walking, I'm like looking at my leg when I got out of the water, and I'm like, what's going on? And I go to my mom and my uncle, and they're like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see the jellyfish. I didn't really feel pain until almost the very end. So the very end of the second video, I felt some sort of pain. I felt the stinging. When I took my legs out of the water, I lifted my leg out of the water, and that's when I felt the pain. But until I lifted one of my legs out of the water, I did not feel any sort of pain. And when I was walking, I didn't feel that much pain either. It was very, the story of it, and I will link that Inspired Awakening to this video. I don't know if I delve deep into the story of it in that video, but it is really a testament that your guardian angels are with you. And I've mentioned it before. When I did a channeling with the Jellyfish Group Soul before I even went to Greece that summer, it was probably the most powerful channeling experience I've ever had. And whenever I've channeled anything regarding the jellyfish, I am in the galactic neutral. I am just like, it is the most intense experience in a good way. And this was a very surreal, intense experience as well, but in a good way. Because I didn't start having a full shock, or I was having an allergic reaction to the jellyfish, not just like the poisoning of it. It was just like an allergic reaction to them, because I was having an allergic reaction spreading like all of my hands, my face, but I didn't actually have that like shock of allergy until they were about to put the IV in me to like released me from that anaphylactic shock. So it was really, as soon as they put the IV in me is when I started having that reaction, and it was perfect timing, and I was perfect after, aside from some medication, and I couldn't get my knee in the sunlight, and I had some knee buckling moments for my knees afterwards, because after a certain point I'm like, I don't care, I'm gonna go walk in the sunlight, and that without like proper SPF, it did hurt a little bit, but I did that in Delphi, and I was gonna do that walk in Delphi no matter what. If you know anything about me, going to Delphi, Greece is like, I'm gonna go, and whatever roadblocks are in the way, I don't care, I'm gonna make it work, I'm gonna go. Because I have done quite a few channelings in Delphi. I've done a few channelings in Andros too, even though this one didn't pan out as I had hoped. I did a few channelings in Koroni as well. So I've done the southern Peloponnese, northern Greece, and an island, and more to come in the future too. Why I felt like doing a clairaudient check-in, it was because I cannot sit and channel on my own. I was like, normally, I don't mind setting up a camera and just doing my things on my own. In a beach setting, and the only other time I recorded in the water was the summer solstice video of 2023, which was in Koroni. So it wasn't on an island, and I had someone recording it for me, which was very nice of that friend, and shout out to her because I love her. She is such a great supporter. But this one I just went on a walk by myself, and I wanted to take pictures and videos of the coves, and I felt like there were messages. There was lots of powerful energy going on, lots of powerful energy. You can see the mountains. Greece is lots of mountains, even in the islands, lots of mountains, lots of mountain energy. The coves and the rock formations, I fell in love with the coves and the rock formations. I was experiencing a lot of emotional body healing during this time specifically. I realized I hadn't fully let myself cry 100% until after this jellyfish thing, and I wasn't crying because of the pain. I was just crying. I just had an emotional release. Something was cleared from my bloodstream, literally. But the rock formations are so powerful, and I did do a video about that. So I'm gonna have lots of little videos linked to this video, because I did do a channeling while I was there, and I vaguely remember the messages, and I loved it. So, yeah, I loved doing that video. I did end up doing a meditation of connecting to ancient wisdom with the octopuses, even though I didn't get to do the meditation I wanted to do for this video. Maybe while watching it, I'll figure it out and plan doing some sort of meditation. But let's see. I'm moving a column right now. And I also just want to say, there are before I get started, a few updates. One, it's really cold in the weather climate that I'm in. It's December, and I wasn't planning doing an Inspired Awakening until for the winter solstice, but this is coming out when I'm recording it, so it's coming out on the 6th of December, and I was not planning on doing an Inspired Awakening till then, so this was a surprise. The reason this came to me to do now, I'm working on trying to create new playlists, and I did used to do clairaudient readings, and I stopped to do direct channeling because it's easier. Direct channeling is easier. Even though it seems, and if you do readings and you're a clairaudient, it seems like it's harder, because there's a lot of things you have to do to make yourself less dense. No caffeine, no sugar, I don't eat meat. What made it easier for me is I just removed those things that make me dense from my day-to-day diet. So it's not as hard when I have to sit down and do a channeling, and I don't have to do as big of a detox. The only thing I have to detox is sound. But direct channeling is a little bit easier, but sometimes I do clairaudient readings like I'm doing in this video, and it's a little bit difficult because you have to latch on to one message and really follow that, and it's very easy to get sidetracked like very easy to pick up on another message when you're doing a clairaudient reading as opposed to a channeling, because the channeling is just flowing through you and you trust that what's coming through is meant to. There's a lot more trust involved in clairaudient readings because you really have to trust that intuition coming to you. I guess, yeah, there's a lot of trust of like allowing a higher light energy to flow through you too. It's equal. But I wanted to create playlists. I want to create a playlist for all videos I've channeled from the warrior domain. So you can like go through in those playlists and say, I want to understand messages from the Elfian healers. And here's a bunch of videos where even if they're not the main being I do channel them in this video. So check it out. And I'm working on that for 2025 to kind of be done by 2025 and have those playlists created. I got my spreadsheet going on. I'm working on it. And the website is also going through some updates. I want to give a huge thanks to my global podcast listeners. I have done 6 seasons of An Hour in Golden Sunshine and reached 7 countries. So thank you. Just want to give some thanks. And if you kind of like how I'm talking now with kind of no rhyme, rhythm, or reason and just going with whatever is coming to me, that's what my podcast episodes are like. So you can go and check those out because that's what they're like. But on that note, let's get started on what does me from July of 2023 have to say. It is December of 2024, so we are completely different person, almost. I went through lots of changes, and I think that the whole experience that summer with turtles in June and jellyfish in July really helped me understand who I am. And a lot of the messages that were coming through to me are about understanding that. I'm only going to pause what she's saying if I have something important to say to offer some sort of clarity to what's coming through, or if something jumps out to me. Of course, I'm wearing a swimsuit, and if you want to know color frequency, I am wearing purple because purple is associated with the crown chakra. Also, the shade of purple is pretty. That's it. That shade of purple is pretty, but it's associated with the crown chakra, and I like to incorporate the colors into color frequency when I'm doing channelings to have that symbolism going on. And I'm wearing a lot of blue right now. You can't see fully, but I am wearing a lot of blue, and that is because I am bringing forth communication, because we're talking about something, and I'm trying to do this during a retrograde. So please, angels, be with me, elves, be with me. We're trying to do it during a Mercury retrograde. I've tried to do this reaction a few times. Sorry about putting my hand in your face. I've been trying to do this reaction a few times, and technology be technology. So hopefully this is third time's a charm. Let's go. Beings, and welcome back to the realm of inspiration. In today's video, I am not going to do a direct channeling. I am going to do a clairaudient check-in. So check-in is basically, I am here on Andros Island, and I am going to do a clairaudient check-in. Right, didn't clarify. I'm on Andros Island. It is an island in the Cyclades. It is a windy island. I'm gonna say the windy island in the video, I'm pretty sure. I experienced the wind firsthand when we were going there. It was very windy on the boat ride, but I did love it. I was very nervous to go on the boat deck, but once I did, I just want to be on the boat deck all the time. And when we got off the boat, there were a lot of instances of the wind carrying things away or people. So the wind was doing, not carrying people too far away, just some people falling, tripping over their steps, because it is very windy. But everyone is okay. And I did have a hat blow away of a little cousin, and that was a traumatic experience for him as well. So the wind was doing a lot of work, but wind is very clearing, and I felt a lot of clearing and cleansing energy on this island. So the wind is so powerful, and you are going to hear a lot of wind in these 2 videos. So I'm going to go around and touch and feel the water and the rock and see what I sense, see what I hear, and see what messages there are, and any guidances right now. As we are entering Leo season, the Lion's Gate. Right, my intention for this video was for it to come out on the Lion's Gate, and I think instead I did that Inspired Awakening, kind of just talking about it. And I believe there was a Mercury retrograde around that time as well. I believe I'm trying to like visualize what that thumbnail looked like, and I think it was like Mercury retrograde insight from the jellyfish or something. It's gonna be linked to this video. I'm gonna talk about it a lot, even though I don't really remember much about it. So it's just better if you just go watch it yourself. It's actually maybe better if you stop this video, go watch that video so you kind of understand the dramatic effect of waiting for actually having these videos. These are the only two the GoPro saved out of what I was trying to deliver message-wise, but yeah, back to it. Is upon us, so let's take a minute here. See what I feel. It's time to let go of fears and anxieties that were programmed into your mind. This is coming from the earthy and Alphean elementals of the rocks. The earthy and Alphean elementals of the rocks are different than the crystalline Alphean elementals because of the fact that the rocks of the earth resonate at a different frequency than stardust. They were not gifts given from Guardian of Delta, God. They were gifts given by Mother Earth to assist and help in our development. So, two things. I actually do feel like some throat chakra opening just by watching this video. I feel the energy. The energy is still powerful through the screen, and that's why I wanted to do the video within the elements. One of the very few times where I am doing a channeling of some sort in the elements that I am channeling. Also want to clarify what Guardian of Delta means, because that's a title the elves give, and it is a title meaning guardian of life, but Delta is the nickname they have for our Earth, because we are starting our fourth attempt at reaching a golden Earth. We have achieved 3. So Alpha, Vita, Delta, Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta. So we are on our 4th attempt at a golden Earth, and that's the nickname that they've given us. And if we were, Earth ago, it would be Gamma, and then Vita, and then Alpha. So it's just the phase that we're at. And very coincidentally, the term for the elves used to be the Yagamas, and their most impactful time period for humanity was during our 3rd attempt at a golden Earth, so it would have been Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta. I'm hoping my Greek alphabet is correct. I am talking about it as if I'm like 100% that I am second guessing myself. I want to clarify that just to make sure that I am being correct, and also, in the process of trying to become fluent in Greek, I want to make sure I am doing it correctly and that my memory is correct. Yes, my memory is correct. So just had to clarify that and see that visual. Trust your gut, everyone. Trust your gut. Your gut knows. That's what that is. But they've more commonly started calling him Guardian of Life, just because it was kind of a discussion via a meditation with the beings of inspiration that every time they said Guardian of Delta, I was going to have to clarify it, and it would just be easier to say Guardian of Life. But for those who are interested in understanding the ages, the golden ages, and all of those things, that's kind of what that is. And they're more fluid with it, or open. Like, they're not trying to make it comprehensible for us to understand in the 2-channel texts that I did. They're just kind of allowing it. I'm allowing it to flow in almost an automatic writing sense. In those 2-channel texts, and in some other projects as well that I'm working on developing more. But like the courses that I have, 3 courses, please sign up for them. Opportunity for a free live reading if you want. If not, we can just end that giveaway. They're just awesome coupon offers. It's going to be in the description. You can get those courses for really good deals. Now back to the show. So, here on the Windy Island, there are a lot of earthy and Elfian elementals of the rocks, and also crystalline Elfian elementals. Now I'm going to turn the camera and I'm going to show this little area here. It's really beautiful. You can see. I believe I stopped the video. Yes, I stopped the video. I stopped the video because there was a blinking light and I didn't know what that blinking light meant, but then I went with it. I'm kind of hearing the message right now that I was gone for 23 minutes and there's only 4 minutes missing from this next video, that it was a 10-minute video. And it cut it off because what I'm hearing right now clairaudiently is that after I noticed the stinging on a subconscious level, I started to get out of the water. So it's that my family said I was gone for 23 minutes and I was doing a lot of that walking. So I guess we didn't lose as much as I thought, but I feel that clarification. Very interesting with these videos. And I was watching some old videos I did back to try and figure out who I'm channeling in them because I didn't always put it in the description very clearly. I probably should rewrite a lot of the descriptions, but I can feel the energy of where I was and who I was and how I was feeling and the environment that I was in. So I don't really rewatch the ones where I'm sitting at home channeling as much, but I should watch the ones where I'm in these exotic locations where I am, in a way, sitting at home, but just a different home, and doing a channeling. You can expect a lot of mountain channelings here very soon. Just to point that out, I believe that I'll be doing color frequency channelings around some mountains. So a lot of mountain energy, and I know you can feel it in the videos because I'm feeling it now as I'm watching these. So really powerful. The coves were beautiful. It was like I wanted to do a meditation of the mermaid coves because that's how I was feeling. The guides of balancing, mermaid being a fancy name, guides of balancing and guides of divine love, and the aquatic realm. I was really excited for it. But I actually had another experience, and I remember my grandma, she told me, she's like, I'm so happy you had an experience, not a good experience, but had an experience. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it is a human experience. And I was so afraid of, I actually had a lot of fear about needles and about hospitals and about, like, I don't like that and I'm scared. And I'm like, the thing that was the most painful and the most scary for me was the needle. But I learned why. I learned because when I was a child, they did, like, I had a lot of shots for some reason. I don't really know why. But I didn't like them. And I had a traumatic experience with needles when I was a little itty bitty baby. And that was in my inner child. And I kind of had a inner child healing with the needles that I went a few months later to do a blood test just to make sure, you know, because I had like venom inside of me at one point. So to make sure I'm all good and I'm all healthy. And I was, and it was, and I did that willingly, and it didn't really hurt, and I kind of got over that fear, and healed something in my inner child because of this. So that's actually really good. I didn't realize that until this exact moment, that I healed something in my inner child because of this. So there is, inner child healing going on. Let's let her talk. Back to the show. Okay, beautiful beings. Now, the realm of inspiration, me and the elves have gone on quite a journey. Well, I've gone on quite a journey, and the elves have been, well, around. They've been around in various different places, like the earthy and Elfian elementals of the rocks, that have been all over the place in the beautiful coves and all the beautiful things you've been seeing. Now, so I don't slip and fall, let's find a good place to ground in the water. I will say, it was very slippery. So the rocks in the water, on Andros are very slippery, especially in that area. And at one point, I don't know if it happened at one point when I'm talking, I would have to like watch it like frame by frame and figure out when it happened. But I did scrape my knee, and it actually could have been in this moment when I said, let me ground myself, because I did scrape my knee. So I had on a knee, on one of the knees, I had a little scrape from the rock, but in a way that kind of went away, like that little scar, that little scrape, because the jellyfish thing happened and that kind of took over. But I do know on one of my knees that there was a little bit of a scratch from the rocks, because I did scratch my knee on the rock. But actually not as bad as I thought. But in my mind, while I'm doing this, the only thing that I know that I did that would have caused me some sort of pain was that I scratched my knee on a rock and there was salt water, and I thought, oh, salt in the wound. You know, I thought that that's the pain that I was feeling, which makes sense. But also, like, for reference point, like, I'm 21 right now and I was 19 in that video, and even though technically July and then I turned 20, it's not that long ago, but that was my 19-year-old knowledge, was that's what that was. And I think I've gone in salt water with a scrape on my knee before, and I haven't really felt as much pain, because it's not the same as salt in the wound, but that was my logic. So that's why I kept going. You're wondering why I kept going and why I kept talking, and I also trusted that I was protected on some level. There was a big leap of faith. But if you ever go to Andros Island in Greece, avoid the coves, because that's where the jellyfish hide from the wind, and avoid slippery rocks. You have to be kind of really careful when you're walking. It's full of beautiful rock formations, but you gotta be smart. But the things that happen to me when I disconnect from my phone, I had this instant, and then I always tend to see turtles when I don't have my phone with me. Either sea turtles or land turtles. At my grandmother's house, I've seen land turtles. I found them. I was looking for them all summer. I found them when I didn't have my phone. So when you disconnect from technology, you're actually opening yourself up to a lot. So yeah, let's go back to the GoPro and back to the show. It's beautiful. So on this clairaudience check-in, letting go of the things that have been programmed into our minds. So I learned that some guided meditations or affirmations are things that resonate with people more. So from my clairaudience check-in with the earthy and elementals of the wind now, so the earthy and elementals of the rocks are saying that we need to let go of fears and anxieties that were programmed into our minds at a young age. Let go of things that were never ours authentically. Okay. First, I'm mentioning that because I wanted to do a guided meditation. Second, I'm hearing birds outside. Yeah, I just saw a bird. Birds are still thriving in the winter. Third, I actually do think in this moment I started noticing the pain, or I started noticing some sort of pain. I believe I call it out at some point on camera, but just wanted to fun little note that I noticed. On the message point, letting go of fears that were programmed in our brain, a lot of my experience that summer, the overall theme and lesson was overcoming fears. And when I tell you, when I went to Corona, and I've probably told this story before, or if I've mentioned this story multiple times before, but I got there, I pitched my tent on the campsite, and I left my door open, my tent door. Cats, whatever animals, and there were lots of animals, including ferrets or weasels, and now I'm realizing there was a ferret in my dream and I need to understand why, but then that's another point for later. But lots of animals. I didn't care. There is something about the water and the mountains that kind of take a lot of your fears and worries away, but my overall lesson that summer was that. And I was constantly being faced with fears that I had to overcome, and I feel like I always am. Even this past summer, I always am. So, you're constantly being faced with fears you have to overcome. And it is important that we remove the fears that are not ours. And a lot of it is like a trauma response. And a lot of it has to do with things out of our control. I had a fear of needles or someone putting a needle in me because it was something I couldn't control. And because when I was a little baby, I was in no control over what was going on. So a lot of it has to do with faith too. But we all have some sort of trust issues to some degree, and letting go of those fears programmed in our minds helps us let go of those trust issues. So, to some degree. Back to the show. Now the winds, earthy and elfin elementals are saying, loud and clear, let go of fear. Loud and clear, let go of fear. It's time to reclaim your power and your strength as a being of life and love. So right now, we are at a phase in this reality where we are shifting more. And the fear that we need to relinquish is the fear of how can we live a human life and be spiritually awoken. I want to note, I was walking on rocks in that moment. And I was overcoming fear in that moment of what was going to happen if I took a wrong step. So as I am clairaudiently receiving a message and letting it flow through me, I'm actively experiencing something related to that message, which is kind of like how channelings work, where they show me visuals of what they're talking about. And I don't always remember what I've channeled, but I do remember what I've seen. And it kind of a cool little callback there. And then for the message, sorry, I'm feeling like energy moving. For the message, I'm probably gonna have to rewind because I don't fully remember what I said. I just kind of noticed that one point, and we're gonna have to go back to it. And the letting go of fear, loud and clear, yeah, but I just kind of noticed that fun little parallel thing, and I wasn't retaining what I was saying. What we need to relinquish is the fear of how can we live a human life and be spiritually awoken. Okay, that point. Also something I was learning during the year of 2023, and I've been learning this year of 2024 as well. It is, I'm feeling a lot of energy clearing right now too, but it is a lesson that we're learning a lot. So it's something that I was actively experiencing too. So very interesting. Back to the show. So that is something massive that we have struggled with as a collective all, is understanding and learning the balance. For that, here is the message that I am hearing. You must allow yourself to live life, love life, but make sure that you're not getting lost in life. You must allow yourself to love spirituality, to be in your soul and your spirit, but don't get too lost in spirit. Now, what this means is you incarnate in the physical to experience the physical, but you do not incarnate in the physical to forget the spirit. So there's the balance. And I know I have talked about before the different types of awoken, and the frozen awoken, the sleepwalker, things like that. And all of these different titles and these labels are a great way of identifying what is going on, and a great way for us to understand a little bit more about what phase we are in our journey. But these labels can be limiting. So what the earthy and elfin elementals of the oceanic frequency that work in the Mediterranean Sea are singing in my ear so very loud and clear right now is that it's time to let go of labels. That you don't need to have a label for what you are or who you are or what you're doing. Labels are limiting. And it's a great way in the 3D and the 4D and even the 5D reality to use labels to assist us. However, if we're wanting to ascend past the 5D, we don't want to stick. And the aquatic realm is in the 5D, moving past the 5D. One thing I want to note is I'm actually feeling a little bit like sleepy. Very interesting because I was like alive, alert, awake and motivated when I woke up this morning. But I'm feeling the need to feel grounded in this moment, like from myself. I'm feeling that. But I'm also feeling like the calmness and like a relaxing expansion. Talking about dimensional frequency, I do want to kind of get on a little soapbox here and then get off of it and let you go back to the show. But the elves were talking a lot about dimensional frequency when I first started channeling as a way to give some sort of understanding of things. There is a 13-dimensional hierarchy, and for us to reach the golden age, we're going to have to get to like 12, and then in the golden age, we are ascending to 13. So it's going to take some time, because the reason they were highlighting so much 5 and 6 and 5 and 6 and 5 and 6 is because we're halfway there. So we're halfway there, but it's not gonna happen overnight. And because it took us, like, we're now in 2024, it took us that long amount of time to even get to 5/6, 5 moving into 6. It's gonna take time. While things can ascend and progress quickly, there's a lot of different changes that are going to have to occur. And it most likely won't happen in our lifetime when we achieve that golden age, even though it's been communicated. And the reason that a lot of souls are communicating that is because they will reincarnate again and experience that golden age in that next lifetime. It's not something that is achievable right now, because there is still so much more work to do. And the reason that, or evidence to that, is that we're still talking about understanding identity, understanding titles of things and labels for things. We're still talking about that. And that identity and the labeling is from the egoic self. And that is a very conversational topic in the world that we live in, is things revolving identity. And there is a lot of experimentation still going on. Therefore, if we are still, doing things related to the ego, and there's still a lot of experimentation going on, which caused the fall of the Atlantean Age, it is not plausible that we will be achieving that golden age within the next few years, because the experimentation needs to stop, and we need to have that healing period of the effects of it before we can move forward, because the experimentation and experimenting on things is our greatest test as humanity in this phase of the earth. And that's kind of the important message to come through on that point. But I will let her keep talking.
Moving to the 60, the aquatic realm is moving faster than us. They don't want to stay where they are. The water wants to constantly move. The water doesn't want to stop moving.
I was trying to show that. That was actually really fun.
Like the water. We must keep moving. We must keep ascending and moving forward. And to do that,
like the water, we must keep flowing and ascending forward. It was really fun spinning in the water to get that shot, I will say. But we must keep flowing like the water, because actually the water is like 99 or 90% of our body is water. Like, we are water. We're very connected to the water. That's why the moon influences us. So we gotta flow, and flowing is having faith, and that is something that a lot of us do lack, because we don't want to give control to something outside of us. And the thing is when you know what you can control it. And when you know what you can't control, you have to allow faith to guide you.
We must relinquish labels, because part of this ascension into being in spirit is also allowing ourselves to be in the physical, because guess what? The physical that we think is the physical is not the physical. The physical reality of the 3D world, of the working world, of the capitalism and commercialization, that's not the physical reality that the elves or I am talking about. It's not the physical reality that an angel or a spirit guide is talking about. When they say live in the physical, they mean experience life, experience the water and the rocks and the wind and the waves, experience love and connection with others, experience things, but don't get trapped in things. So, what I'm going to do is dive through. Very strong.
I will say a few things about that. One, I stand by that message. Two, like, the physical isn't the materialistic world. The physical is, like, nature. Three, I was feeling like I wanted to really be in nature to showcase that. Four, so after this, I was taken to go to a private doctor or private hospital on the island. Really, we were going to the pharmacy because I didn't know what it was. It was moving. There was, like, moving, like, it was spreading, and I didn't fully see that. And my aunt, lots of love to her, she took me because she just wanted to drive. She likes driving. But so she took me. So I was with my aunt, and my mom was with my little cousins. And at one point, I don't know exactly when I was in the hospital did it happen, but there is a wave that comes on the island at the same time, and it's because of a boat, and it washes everything away that's, like, on the shore, and you have to, like, get to higher ground. And one of the guys that worked there went and told my family, hey, like, a wave is gonna come and wash everything away. And I was never there. Each time it happened, I had, like, left, or I wasn't there, or the first day after the sting, I just was like, stay in the shade. So I just stayed back at the villa, but I was never there to witness it happening. I always left right before it happened, but the way that they talk about it is, like, the wave comes up and, like, takes everything in it, and it's almost like a recycling of water. So that was, I think, in the process of starting when I was feeling the wind like that heavily and the waves moving like that. I think it was giving some sort of warning, because everything happened very quickly, and it was about, like, right after I left, like, about 5 or 10 minutes after I had left to go find a doctor, that it happened. So it was kind of the starting of that. There's a lot of cleansing energy. It quite literally cleanses. But a very funny family anecdote story is that, because it's a good talking point. It's like, hey, remember when the guy came and told us that everything was going to wash away? And we're like, how does he know this? And then it came and it took everything away, and we had to, like, run. But it doesn't take the beds. The beds are, like, the sunbeds are, like, placed in a way that it doesn't take them away, but if you are right on the shore, it will take everything away. It'll take your beach toys, it will take everything, and recycle itself.
But I'm going to the assistance of the elves of the earth. The elves that work with the earth more than any other, the earthly and elfy and elemental domain. I'm going to guide you through a very peaceful and calm meditation.
Not
this
going to be doing
meditation
that.
is to help you come to peace of who you are, and relinquishing labels and understanding. Because even the simplest thing of your soul name, that label helps us understand, but that's how humans understand. Like, I can label now, I have some scrapes and scratches from the rocks, and it's painful. And that's a label of the physical. But I can also understand that it's just something that happened, and creating such a deep, deep label for it is causing a lot of lack and limitation. So, the labels of even our soul name is how humans understand things. But you must remember that when we are in spirit, we understand without even needing to speak. That the elves and guardian angels and whoever, they don't need human words. They don't need English or any other language to communicate. It all is just an understanding. So shifting to just an understanding of things.
And it cut me off. I was getting very engaged and very interested. I'm like, okay, what else is going on? I don't know. All I'm feeling is, like, I was so happy. I do remember, like, it stopped, and I noticed that it stopped, and I was like, so 6:51, so I was, like, talking for 4 more minutes, but I was talking as I was walking back, so I walked pretty far in the water, and, it wasn't too deep, so I actually could walk pretty far without it being too deep. But as I started getting further in the video, I started getting further in the water, and I started turning around. And I might have to like rewind. I'll rewind the last second of like what I said to get back to it, to see if I can piggyback on what I was saying and try and get to that point. But I just remember feeling so happy. Like, I didn't realize it, and I'm watching it, I'm like, I'm smiling, and I'm feeling that sort of feeling now where it's like this weird bittersweet happiness, but I'm feeling so happy. I remember I'm like, I did something super cool. I was so happy. I did a clairaudence check-in. I went and I was like stopping and taking videos of the water, and I know I got cool videos of the water. I just don't know where those are. I don't even have the GoPro anymore. My cousin has the GoPro. Another cousin who's not on the trip. I'm just like, here, take the GoPro. But so I don't know, but I think I have the SIM card somewhere to find it. But I just remember feeling so happy. And I was like so excited, and I want to voice record this meditation thing, and it's something I can do in the evening. I think it was something that I was going to do when we got back home from the island. Or I was going to do maybe on the boat ride. I don't know exactly how I was going to do that. But actually, funnily enough, this whole situation allowed for me to have time alone at the villa we were staying at, because like I was feeling the recovery felt worse than the incident itself. And the medication made me very sleepy that I had to take to kind of flush it out of me. The jellyfish, I don't know, flush it out of my bloodstream, and stop the pain and heal the wounds. So I actually had a lot of time alone that I was able to do 2 videos, and if this hadn't happened, I don't think I actually would have had that time alone to do that. And as a result of that, then me and my mom were more motivated to go by ourselves and explore the village there, and it was very beautiful. Batiste is where we stayed, and it was very beautiful. It was a very, very beautiful village. It was really fun, and we went on walks in the evening because, you know, not having direct sun on the jellyfish wounds. They did say bite at one point, because on this knee, which is my future knee, left side is your future and maternal, so I was with my mother's family, but it looked like a bite, like the way. Don't have pictures. Maybe I do, but I don't think I want to share those on the internet. It looked like a bite, and it had little tentacles. It looked like it did sink its teeth into me. It did look like a bite. But it was actually kind of cool, but it's a scar. I want to try and piggyback on what I was saying, where it cut me off here.
Language to communicate. It all is just an understanding. So shifting to just an understanding of
it's just an understanding. Okay. So basically understanding that titles and labels are a way to help us understand things, that even with the elves, like I mentioned, the original name that they had was not elf. It was something weird that, you know, doesn't make sense, and there is no way to translate it. It's everything is like an anagram. I think that's the right word. I think that's the right thing, an anagram. Not an anagram. Not an anagram. Maybe abbreviation. More than an anagram, it's an abbreviation. It's not an anagram, it's an abbreviation. As I'm reading it, I'm also doing a lot of studying for writing and things, so I'm trying to make sure I'm remembering things correctly. So it's more of an abbreviation than an anagram, an abbreviation, because an anagram is like scrambled words. It's an abbreviation for something. So Elfian, eternal loving flower of inspiration's native ambers, and they refer to themselves as ambers, as beings of inspiration. So it's an abbreviation, and even our soul names are abbreviations to some degree. So it's just something that it's just an explanation of our soul. But we don't want to get so caught up in what those labels and titles are, because it really doesn't matter as much. And I learned that more with like some clients that I've had. I'm like, I'm telling them, I was like, I have to call out who you are verbally, and I used to do it like in my mind, and then they would address it, but not always. When I was watching back some earlier videos of channeling, they wouldn't always address it verbally, but it would be addressed mentally. And I started, asking them, like, let's do this verbally. Let's, like, show this. And it's something that I developed with clients. And then, I'm sorry, I see that there's going to be a storm in Greece on my computer. But that distracted me for a second. I'm like, I want to do this verbally so we can call attention to it, and so people know, like, when it comes with channeling and even clairaudiency, like, I was addressing who I am hearing from, because I'm saying, I am hearing this from you. Is this the truth? And addressing, making sure that I am communicating with the right being, and assuring that what's coming through is from a place of divine light and love, and it's coming from the right place. Kind of feeling like I want to conclude this by understanding why there were like 50 ferrets in my dream. Because I feel like that's somehow related. So we're going to look that up. Curiosity, agility, and resourcefulness. Dreaming of a ferret symbolizes curiosity, agility, and resourcefulness. The presence of a ferret in your dream encourages you to be adaptable and clever in navigating challenges. Ferrets are playful and curious animals, and they often represent curiosity and exploration. Well, that is actually very related, because I was curious, and because I was curious, I went to that cove, and I let those messages flow through me, and I was adaptable. I adapted to change, even though it was hard, and I've experienced a lot of learning to be flexible these past 2 summers. And even now, I was trying to get something published the traditional way, and it didn't work how I was hoping. But I tried again, and I will update more about that in the future. But, but even with, like, the titles and the labels, I learned from the elves. They're always telling me, hey, you're a channeler, but that's not all that you are. And if you want to do something else, you can do something else. And I love writing, so I want to do something that's gonna make a difference. But I also like videos like this where I am just talking and I don't have to channel, because sometimes I'm not in the energy to channel, but there is a message that wants to flow through. And that's kind of how I was feeling in that moment when I wanted to do a clairaudient check-in. But I also knew, it's almost like I knew it was going to happen, and I've talked about it before, maybe not like on camera, but, with people in my life, that I almost like I knew it was going to happen, because I didn't want to be in a channeling state. I could have. I realistically, I could have, but I didn't want to, because I think what would have happened if I was in a channeling state is I wouldn't have been able to brush it off of me. Like, I wouldn't have been able, but also, something that was noted is, like, how did you just, like, they stick? How did you just get it off of you? It's like, I don't know. I just brushed it off of me, and I was like, ugh. And it went away. Well, that's not fully normal. Okay? I was like, I don't know what to say. That's what happened. Like, I don't know how. Because their intention wasn't to hurt me. It's like, I kind of stepped into their home, and I got redirected. But their intention wasn't to hurt me. Their intention was to guide me to some experience that I needed to have. Navigating challenges, we were constantly doing that, but that's part of life. And I think even afterwards, like, I still talk about it because it's part of my story. And it's to the point that I was, like, talking about it, and my brother, after this past summer, was like, you got stung by a jellyfish again? I said, no, I'm just talking about it because it's, like, it's an experience, and it's, now I know not to go into coves, because I would have continued to do that, not knowing that when it's windy, that's where they hide, because I'm just fascinated by that. But resourcefulness, we use our resources, especially in that moment, but we use titles and labels as resources for things to help us understand what's going on, and it helps us, but it's not the end all be all. And I feel like the most important message that came from those 2 videos is adaptability. leaps of faith, overcoming fear, and letting go of things that don't serve us anymore. And while it's nice to understand the deep details of things, and I'm seeing my guardian angel number actually right now, so confirmation for me. There is different, like, your guardian angels can give you a specific number. I'd love to talk about that more in the future. But there is, kind of got sidetracked, but redirecting things back. When we so it's good to understand the deeper meaning of things, but also sometimes we don't need to know. It's nice to know, but kind of part of life is that mystery. So with that, I'm seeing my sticker that says stay inspired, so it's time to bring this to an end. Thank you all for joining me on this journey, and it's the first time I've ever done anything like this. And I would love to go back and maybe rewatch some old channelings I did and talk about that experience and talk more about the experience of being a channeler, because it's part of awakening, it's part of my journey. Love to talk about it more. So if you want to hear more about channeling and being a channeler and what that's like, let me know. I also did get Crystal Reiki certified, and part of that is a lot of feng shui learning, and I learned a lot about crystals and feng shui. So in 2025, probably around the Lunar New Year, you can expect me to do videos kind of like in this setting, more me talking and doing something related to the realm of spirituality and inspiration. So I want to feng shui some rooms. So I want to do a feng shui with me series, and go through the process of understanding what feng shui is, because there's actually a lot of things that I just do and I feel intuitively guided to do. So it's really interesting, and I want to do more of that and do more things that are inspiring to me, and kind of on that topic of, not just being one thing, and we don't have to label ourselves down or put us in a box. I don't have to be in a box of just being a channeler. I can do more things too. Mainly telling that to myself. But yeah, so that's kind of things to expect. There is the Embracing Warrior Principle series that will be coming out until the end of this solar year, and the winter solstice video. But other than that, there's not really any other videos. And that Embracing Warrior Principle series, I recorded like November 16th, 17th, and 18th. I sat down and I recorded all of them. So I'm not gonna actually sit down and record anything except the winter solstice, and then everything for 2025. So really, I'll see you for the winter solstice and then next year. And there's going to be lots of exciting new things, and yeah, so maybe I'll do more clairaudient things in the future and incorporate that with channeling more. But I don't know, channeling's easier for me. Maybe it's not easier for some other people, but it's easier for me. It just depends on who you are. If you'd like me to create a course about channeling, let me know too, because I do have 3 courses, and I'm working on another one to come out in January, and working on another one, and I have them all. I have ones lined up. So while I have not been doing a lot of fairs because my life has been taking another direction, I'm still working on a lot of things, and I appreciate all of your supports. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me from that time when I recorded that video to now. So until next time, until the winter solstice, for this series, Inspired Awakening, or this podcast, YouTube podcast, Inspired Awakening, I send you love, light, and inspiration. I hope that in some way this could inspire you, but also inspire you to maybe look back at some things from your past and see what messages can come to you, because I forgot all of the other beautiful emotions that I was feeling during that time, and how it really impacted who I am today. That reflection is very important. So, sending you love, light, and inspiration. Stay inspired, and I will see you again.